Good morning, this is John Everett, and today we are here with 3D printing legend and pioneer, not to mention subject matter expert, Mr. Mike Halverson. Mike, good morning.
Morning, John.
We appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to welcome you to the program. Now let's just jump right in and get right after it. Is that okay?
Sure, let's go.
All righty. Now, Mike, a lot of folks out there have heard about 3D printing, but they really don't have any idea what it really is. Can you just give us a brief background of where 3D printing started and how it actually came into being?
Well, it kind of started from an invention mindset of Chuck Hull, who about 30 years ago decided he wanted a 3D printer because prototypes took so long and were so incredibly expensive to make. So the first 3D printers were peculiar and very expensive, but indeed that's kind of where they started 30 years ago, and nobody knew about it, and only until maybe 5 or 6 years ago did it really make any sense for the general consumer. But things have changed dramatically because 3D printers they're kind of all over the board in terms of cost, anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1 million.
Wow. Okay, well, Mike, that's incredible. Now, based on that, where we've came from, where is 3D printing today as you know it? It seems there's so many applications and benefits that it's just unbelievable. So by now, I'm sure that the folks out there are beginning to see that that they got a little better grasp on the 3D printing and how it can benefit them. So can you tell us, where's 3D printing today?
Well, in a way, it's probably in the same condition it was 30 years ago, only in so much as that people still don't understand it or know about it. It's not ubiquitous like an inkjet printer. An inkjet printer, everybody knows, you just go buy one and you use it and you're done. 3D printers require a lot more support in terms of 3D objects need to be created by the maker, the user, whoever, the inventor. And once they do that, then the printing is really kind of simple and sublime. 3D printers are nothing more than a hot glue gun and some mechanism of moving that hot glue gun around in most cases. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of 3D printers, but for the average consumer, what they can go and buy today is basically using weed whacker material and a hot glue gun and kind of a CNC machine that adds instead of takes away. But it's easy. It's not hard to do. It just requires, the big thing that it requires is you need an object. And it's a question of where that object comes from. So the first thing a person really needs to do is get their head wrapped around a 3D piece of software. Lots of 3D programs out there, all of them save in the format that you need, but some of them are incredibly expensive, way more expensive than the printer, and very, very difficult to learn how to use for the average consumer.
Okay, well, I appreciate the simplicity breakdown on that, but Mike, I've got to ask you here. I mean, I've watched on the History Channel and the New Inventions Channel on cable. I've seen them actually 3D print AR-15s. I got an email last week of a little girl that got a wrist and a hand from 3D printing that works perfectly. Is that where you see the future of this thing going?
Well, if I can digress a little bit, you know, when the first radar range, which we call microwave oven now, was made, it really was kind of a play on words. There was actually a radar tower, and it was frying birds out in the distance, and that's why they called it a radar range. And now everybody has a microwave oven in their house, if not a couple of them. So in order for 3D printers to become kind of as standard as, let's say, a microwave, there's a whole lot of stuff that has to happen. And it goes back to that thing of Okay, so you have an idea. What is that idea? It doesn't really make any difference. You want to make a toy for your kids or a prosthetic or anything. You've got to be able to visualize it in the computer because they don't just come out of thin air. We're not to that technology yet. We're working on that. But people need to find something that they're comfortable with. That's a piece of software that lets them visualize objects and then make those things appear. Let's talk about the little girl who gets a prosthetic hand. Somebody had to create that hand and the joints and the mechanism of how it works. That was probably done with a $10,000, $15,000 piece of software. The average person is not going to run right down to Walmart and pick that up. The other thing is, you mentioned like a gun. Creating a gun is really of no major consequence, but you have to create it. The model doesn't just exist. So you have to create what you want to create. Once you've got your hand wrapped around the idea of using the computer to create an object, well, then it's pretty simple. You push the print button and the printer prints it.
Okay, well, folks, there you go. You have it broken down, excuse me, from the guru of 3D printing. If you can dream it, if you can imagine it, then you can print it. Mike, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule, my friend, because I know software creation and management and customer support takes a lot of your time, and I just want to thank you for myself and all of my viewers for taking a minute out of your time today.
Hey, John, it's my pleasure. You can call anytime. I'll be glad to help because I think as we move forward with 3D printing, the biggest holdback to 3D printing is misinformation or a lack of information. So if a user wants to get a 3D printer, I encourage them to buy one. But more importantly, just learn how to enjoy the ability to create something that really and truly only exists inside the computer. That's the exciting part of 3D printing. But thanks for having me on, John, and best of luck to you guys.
Well, very good. We appreciate it. There you go, guys. If you can imagine it, you can print it. This is John Everett. You have a wonderful, happy 3-day printing. Thank you.